evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton with my great friend, Milwaukee Bucks legend, Paul Mokeski, rolling in his Jayhawks cap tonight.
March Madness, baby.
Yes, sir. This is something you guys are used to there in Lawrence. Hopefully, the Jayhawks will make a deep run this year.
Yeah.
But we want to welcome all our new friends from Sportsfluent and all the streaming networks around. And we really want you to check us out at Chilltown Hoops on YouTube. That's Chilltown Hoops on YouTube. And subscribe to the show. They're doing a lot of great things over there. If you subscribe, you could be up and eligible perhaps to win some prizes that we're going to be giving away at Chilltown Hoops with our friends from Sportsfluent. But Mo, it's good to see you, number one, brother, and hope everything's going well. And I know this is a fun time of year for you, being the basketball fan that you are. Never mind the fact that you played the game and coached the game. You are a fan of basketball also.
Yeah, I mean, March Madness, you got, great basketball teams, upsets and, let's go dancing. And, it's just a great time. I mean, this coming week, there's going to be, 30 something games, more than 30 games that everybody can watch. And, the next week it cuts down, but it's great basketball with great stories. And, it's a good time. I mean, I like both college and NBA, but this is the time for college. You see the enthusiasm, the fans, and then of course at the end you have one shining moment, which is awesome. So,
Yeah.
it's a great time for basketball.
Yeah, we got the men's and women's tournaments kicking off. We're going to kind of focus in on the men tonight, but we will touch on the women as that tournament progresses over the course of the weeks. What's up, Steve? Checking in. What's on my cap? The Lake Michigan College Redhawks. That's the team my son Rickey Hampton Jr. coaches over in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Go Red Hawks. Hope Ricky's having a great recruiting season. Hey, Mo, maybe some of these up to 1,600 transfers that begin to hit the portal today will show up at Lake Michigan and do a bounce back year at Lake Michigan College. I kind of doubt that, but Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be like, so I think, I was looking it up from last year. There were 1,100, a little over 1,100 NCAA men's basketball players went in the transfer portal. And out of those 1,100, only 537 got scholarships. So that's 47%. That's less than 50%. So those other players, unless their team that they left, takes them back, they have to find a place to play. And, scholarships are hard to come by. And a lot of those guys end up in junior college. I have a good friend that's coaching at Independence JUCO in Kansas in the Jayhawk Conference, one of the best JUCO conferences in the country. And, he's planning on getting about 3 to 4 former Division I players on his team next year because they don't have anywhere else to go. So
you can.
It's crazy.
Well, Mo, what are your thoughts on so many kids transferring now? Because now, back in the day, you had to sit a year out and then go play, but now you can go straight in and play wherever you transfer to, and you couple that with guys transferring simply for NIL money. Has that helped the game or hurt the game? Just your feelings as a former All-American player yourself back in the day.
Well, I think it's evened out the playing field a little bit, but at the same time, it's made it so easy to transfer now. You can transfer because you just, don't like it, or, don't like the lunch they serve at the dorm, or whatever you want to, and there's no consequences. I mean, you know even up to 10 years ago or 5, whatever it was before the transfer portal started becoming what it is now, where you could just play. You used to have to sit out. Before that, you know, if an NBA scout or general manager was looking at the draft and they saw a player that had transferred, 2 times, what's the problem with that player? There's something wrong. You look at these players now, they transfer 2, 3, 4 times now with they have an extra 6th year because of the pandemic. And, there's guys just leaving, for NIL money. Yeah. But there's also guys leaving because maybe they're a little frustrated, or maybe they're not happy as everything, or it's not going great. Instead of sticking it out, stick it out and see, have some guts and stick it out and see where it leads. And, now the coaches, they just go into the transfer portal and try and get players. I mean, I'll tell you a story. When I was at Kansas, my second year as a sophomore, I broke my ankle about halfway through the season, right before Christmas. And, I grew up in California, Southern California, and I went to Kansas. And, I was scheduled to on a flight back home for about 5 days of Christmas break. And I hurt my ankle, and I still played in a game against St. Louis at double overtime. Got on an airplane on the red eye and flew home. And by the time I got home, I could hardly walk on my ankle. And I got an X-ray; it was broken. And quite frankly, the staff at Kansas, they wanted me to come back, and I said, I'm in a cast now. I can't play for 2 months, so I'm going to stay home for a while. And so I was tempted. I had some friends that were playing at Pepperdine University, which is right overlooking the ocean, and I went to hang out with them. Their apartment, literally, the sliding door opened onto the beach, and they were begging me to come play. Hey, you can start at center. We'll have a great team. We'll win a championship in our conference. I was this close to going, hey, I'm coming back home, and I'm gonna play at Pepperdine. But my dad, the rules were you would have to sit out. But my dad said, no, you're not. You made a 4-year commitment at Kansas. You're going to stay there, and you're going to become the player that they promised they're going to help you become. And, that's what we're going to do. And thank goodness, because 4 years at Kansas, great experience. Met my wife, Linda, there. Just I just shudder to think if it was easy for me to transfer, maybe I would have done that. And I don't think the transfer portal, it is evening up the game, because you look at all the teams, most of the teams, San Diego States and all those teams have, 1, 2, 3 transfers from other
Yeah.
schools.
Oh,
And,
yeah. Yeah.
so that makes it competitive. I mean, I looked it up, the transfer portal from last year, and my Jayhawks, got a great player in Hunter Dickinson, the 7-footer that was at Michigan. He's averaging 18 points and 12 rebounds, and one of the best centers in the country. Even he hurt now; he separated his shoulder. I hope he plays, but without him, we wouldn't have been ranked number 1 for a while and had the year. And you know, you look at teams like Alabama; they have 2 transfers, one from Hofstra and Grant Nelson from Cal, and they're a top 4 team. You have Houston that has Cryer from transfer from Baylor, and Dunn, who is a transfer from Temple, and they're the number 1 ranked team because those players play. And there's North Carolina has players that are playing at a high level. Arizona, all the top teams have transfers from other schools, so it's very impactful. And I'm not sure it's good for the game overall.
And most sometimes you'll even see this at the high school level now.
Oh yeah,
Where guys he'll have a good sophomore year, and he's gone off to IGM or a prep school, or across town to another school that got a couple of other kids. And
yeah. I mean, and AAU has always been like that. So
Yeah.
AAU is, you and me, and we'll get a couple of our buddies that are good players, and we're going to play for this team. It's this Adidas team, and then maybe next month we're going to go play for this Nike team. And hey Jay, what's up, brother? That's my
Yeah.
coach. That's my one of my great friends, and he's the coach at Independence. And he's been in basketball for a long time. He's coached at college level, at the G League level, and now at the JUCO level. And he sees the transfer portal. Here's how kids get recruited now. The high school, it's transfer portal is number one, JUCOs are number two, prep schools are number three, and high school kids are fourth on the list. So unless you're a one and done high school player, you're probably not going to get a scholarship. You're going to have to go
Yeah.
to an NAIA or a JUCO or a prep school, post grad, and until you get a scholarship. So, it's just, I don't like, you know, it used to be a red flag. You see guys that have been to 2, 3 schools. What's wrong with that player? Now, no big deal. He just moved because they served a mystery meat on Friday nights. You don't like it.
Well, Mo, who are and we already got some questions lined up, which we of course we love that, and we're going to get to all these questions and comments. Mike Jules coming in saying the NCAA has ruined college basketball. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's ruined it because it's still
Well,
fun, but
yeah, but I agree with Mike. I mean, just listen to Coach K had talked about it. All these veteran coaches have talked about it, and I'm not so sure the NCAA can withstand everything that's going on. I mean,
yeah,
I always thought like, years ago, I'm like, what does the NCAA do for schools? Like, if I was, USC, Michigan, Ohio State, the powerhouse football teams, Notre Dame, why don't we forget the NCAA? We don't need them. Just make our own conference and call it whatever we want, and we do our own TV contracts. We make our own money. We pay our and we just do it the way we want to. Why wouldn't they do that? And I agree, Mike. I mean, I don't know if it's ruined it, but it really has damaged it. And I don't know when you open the NIL Pandora's box, I don't know if you could close that back up, and it's got out of control.
yeah. Nick Saban kind of addressed that recently. Uh, he didn't exactly say he retired because of NIL, but some of the things we just talked about on the football side of it, the transfers, the recruiting, the hiring of coaches, guys wanting to go here and come back and all that. At 72 years old, you know, it became a lot more than just teaching the game of
You know,
football and getting
you know,
teams ready to play.
you know what he said was the straw that broke the camel's back. What I saw him say on a news press conference. He said, "You know what? When I knew it was time to leave was, I guess, once the recruits come in, the freshmen, he has a cookout at their house on Sunday, and he brings the players, young players and their families, and talks to the parents. We're going to take care of your son, and we're going to help him get a degree, and blah 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 blah. Everything was all, really huggy and feel good." And he said this year or last year, whenever it was, after that event, his wife walked up to him and said, "Why are we doing this?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, when we used to do this, all the parents and all the players were so thankful that we're taking care of their kids and we're doing things the right way. Now, all they ask us is, how much money can you get me? It's all about the money." And that
Yeah,
lost their heart into the whole thing.
yeah, and let's not feel sorry for Nick because he made a ton of money coaching.
No, absolutely, and
Yeah,
the players should get paid, and I think they're getting paid too much. But the bottom line is, shouldn't you play for Kansas or Alabama or UCLA and help that team win a championship, or do you just play for yourself and the money you can make?
yeah. Yeah, and the love of the game. And speaking of, there were several big time programs that decided, hey, we didn't have a good enough year to make the 64, the field of 64, but we're not going to play in the NIT. St. John's turned down the NIT. Pittsburgh turned down the NIT. Memphis turned down the NIT. So did Ole Miss, Indiana, and Oklahoma. And former Indiana coach Tom Crean was really critical of those programs for turning down that opportunity to play. He was saying, man, anytime you get a chance to play, some of these kids, it'll be the last time they get to play college basketball. And here's a time where you can develop your program for next year. You got plenty of time to recruit. You got plenty of time to do all those things. This is what it's all about, playing games and competing. You thought, and the NIT, when we were kids, it was still a big time thing. It's not the tournament it used to be, but it's still an opportunity to compete against college basketball teams in a tournament environment.
Well, I don't even think it's in New York anymore. I think they're playing it somewhere else. And it used to be you play in the NIT and you get to go play in Madison Square Garden.
I think the weekend is they do go to the Garden for the weekend.
Still?
Yeah.
I thought they changed that.
I will check that to be sure.
Yeah, but either way, and what else it does is it allows your players, especially your seniors, but your players to get seen more by scouts, whether they're NBA scouts or European scouts, if they want to advance their career. The more games you play, the more footage you have. You have a chance to go to the NIT game and score 30 points, and some team, whether it was NBA or overseas, who wasn't looking at you now, you have footage, and you might be able to get a job off that. You might be getting drafted off that. So, I think, it's kind of sad. I mean, the NIT used to be bigger than the NCAA back in the day, a long time ago. But I don't understand why you would turn down. Don't we talk about team and family, and you see them in the locker room, and they're all celebrating, and we're all happy. So don't we want to extend that another week or two? I guess not. I guess not.
And Mo, you were absolutely right about that. The finals this year will be held in Indianapolis at Hinkle Fieldhouse, which has a lot of tradition in terms of Indiana basketball. So you're right. The Final Four.
Yeah. It's not Madison Square Garden in New York.
No. Yeah.
Come on. The Mecca. Come on. I mean, that was one of the draws of the NIT. If you make it to the finals, you get to go there. That was one of the draws, and now they don't even have that. So whose decision was it to do that? I don't know, but it is.
But mostly, isn't it the players that vote?
No.
Okay.
No, usually, I had an unfortunate situation when I was a senior that the coach let the players, my teammates, vote, and they didn't want to practice anymore, so they voted not to go. But mostly it's on the coach and the school. I mean,
if you had a program, you would take your guys.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an experience. It's competition. It's in a tournament setting. I'll take Eric Musselman coached at University of Nevada a few years back. He's at Arkansas now. He's a great coach. He coached in the NBA. So his ladder was, his first year he went to the NIT and competed. His second year he went to the NIT and won it. His third year he went to the NCAA and got to the to second round. And then his fourth year there, they went to the NCAA and got to the Elite Eight. It's a progression, and your players learn how to be in competition. So, that I would definitely, it's experience, and you can make it as interesting and fun as you want,
Yeah. Wood age 84, the NIT was bigger than the NC tournament until the Kentucky dynasties of the 50s, and then it flipped. That's a good point. Wisdom War, competing went from being mandatory now to it's optional. Wisdom, that's some good wisdom right there. I'm kind of with you. We appreciate your questions and comments. And don't forget to check us out and subscribe to our show at Chilltown Hoops on YouTube. And Mo, it's so great to be making all these new friends here
Yeah.
at Sports
And
Fluent. And
and the last thing on that, if you want to build your college program, then you need, and you didn't make the NCAA and you're invited to the NIT, you need to go
yeah.
for the players, for your program, for the experience, for the exposure. I mean, it makes no sense to me, but
Yeah. Well, let's get to the NCAA's. But before we do that, Mo, Woodage has a question for you. So Paul played with the Cavs in 90 and Run TMC in 91. Were you there for Jordan's 69-point game?
Can't remember. I was there for a lot of Jordan's great games. I don't think I was there for the 69-point game, but I'm not sure on that. But I was fortunate. I played with the Bucks for a long time in the 80s, and saw Mike MJ, be a very good player but struggle as a team. We used to beat the crap out of him when I was in Milwaukee until they made the switch over. He realized that he needed to use his teammates, and he got teammates like Scottie Pippen and guys like that, Horace Grant, guys that he could depend on, and then he became the great player he was. And he realized he needed to use those players. But yeah, and I'll tell you what, playing with Run TMC was an experience. I played for 12 years. I had some great years, but that was my last year. And those guys and their talent was phenomenal. You're talking about drawing kicks, shoot threes, small ball. That was 91. We did it. We did it back then with those guys. Those guys are almost averaging 30 points apiece. And, it was just, and they were fun to play with and share the ball and enjoyed passing it. And, what a great group. And, those guys are overlooked by a lot of people. Tim Hardaway actually was one of the main players that started the crossover. He was Mr. Crossover, and Mully was just unbelievable scorer. Mitch was, he was the microwave before Vinnie Johnson was the microwave. Mitch Richmond was. So, yeah, those are some great times.
And you had a great coach, Don Nelson, that would let those guys go too, right, Mo?
Yeah, Nelly I played for Nelly for 4 years in Milwaukee, and then he retired. Then he came out of retirement, became the GM of Warriors. Then he became the coach, and I got back in '91, and he's a coach that thought outside the box. He thought small ball. He put a 6-foot player on Manute Bol 7'7" to guard him because he knew if the Washington Bullets back then had Rick Mahorn and they had Jeff Ruland. Jeff Ruland was a scoring machine, and they had Malone, and those guys. If we could put a 6-foot guy on Manute Bol, and they're going to go to the post, and he's going to try and score, I'll take that all day over letting those other guys score. That's how he thought.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, speaking of when you guys played Michael early in his career, so your scouting report, because you guys knew you had the better team, we're just gonna let Mike do whatever he does, and we're just gonna go win the game.
No, not really. I mean, back then Michael wasn't a very good outside shooter. He didn't really post up, because they weren't playing the triangle yet, till Phil came. And, so, we had Sidney Moncrief, we had Paul Pressey, we had guys that could guard him, and, we play off him a little bit, hope he takes a jump shot. If he goes to the basket, push him left, stuff like that.
Okay. We're gonna get to the NCAA's. We got some good NBA stuff going on here. Steve, for Paul, the Mecca floor in Milwaukee, did you slip a lot because of the Admirals hockey?
No, that floor, if you look at the floor was, when they had the in-season tournament this year in the NBA, they had those funky floors.
Yeah,
The Mecca floor was the first funky floor. Go back and look at that. But no, they did a great job, and it wasn't slippery at all, really.
Yeah. Mo, as you look,
Most arenas back then had ice underneath them, by the way.
yeah, yeah. Hey, Paul, as you look at the tournament, and you start putting your bracket together, are there any teams that you like uh, in terms of maybe a surprise team?
I mean, if you look at the top 15 teams in the tournament, right? I don't think it would shock anybody if, so you're looking at, of course, UConn. Then you have Auburn, which I like, by the way. You have North Carolina. You got Tennessee, Kentucky, Marquette, Houston, Duke, North Carolina State. You know, all those teams and more have a potential of going on a run and winning this thing. Unlike, a lot of times, in a lot of years in the past, there's maybe 5 or 6 teams that could win it. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but they have, you wouldn't be shocked if they won it. But, I like Auburn. I like Illinois. Um, I like Tennessee. If Kansas was healthy, I would like them because they struggled late, but they've been hurt, and I don't even know if those two guys are going to play. Um, and Kentucky is back to where they used to be, young, talented, and kind of wild. So if they can go on a run, or they can lose to a more veteran, experienced team. So anything can happen with them. But and Houston, that's been there consistent. And Kelvin Sampson, I met him when he was an assistant coach with the Houston Rockets, but he's been a long time college coach. He's one of the best coaches out there. People don't understand that. And there's some great coaches. Bill Self's a great coach. There's other great coaches, but he's got a combination coaching philosophy of NBA and college. Very creative on offense, and he's recruited and got guys that play hard. They're athletic and they're competitive. So that's a great combination to have.
And Mo, all these great college coaches, and when their programs are consistently strong over the years, but a lot of these guys, when they try to make that transition to the NBA, it has not worked well. John Beeline here had great programs at Michigan. Rick Pitino had great programs. They go to the NBA and it just,
Calipari
yeah, Calipari, it just doesn't work out. Jerry Tarkanian,
lasted about a month.
yeah. What's that? What's that jump? Is it the X and O's or?
It's both. X and O's at the NBA level is, in my opinion, far more complicated and integral than it is in college, and a lot before, maybe a little bit now, but before, like the North Carolinas that ran their system, and that they're not going to adjust to what the other team does. We're going to do what we do. John Wooden did that at UCLA. We're going to play our game. You can't do that in the NBA. There's too much talent. There's too much versatility. So you have to be more adaptable. X and O wise, you have to. You have a, I mean, 24-second clock. You look at the college, the shot clock. They make like 8 passes and there's still 30 seconds on the shot clock. It's like you have forever. And in NBA, you don't have forever. By the time you get it down the court, you're looking at 18 seconds, 16 seconds to do something. And so you have to have more transitional stuff and actions that you do, staggered and all this stuff, and pistol action, dribble handoffs, but you have to do them quicker. And then there's substitutions you got to make. I think the game is more complicated in the NBA, which is hard for some college coaches to adapt to. And the next thing is, in college, if you're the head coach of a major program, you are the man. You're the man. It's your program. It's your name. people know some of the players, but they know you. You're the face of the program, and what
Bobby
you
Knight was
and what
Indiana
well,
basketball.
Roy Williams, go through the, Dean Smith, go through the whole list. Even Calipari, I can tell you, you're the man. Whatever you say goes. That's it. If a player doesn't like it, you don't play him. No big deal. In the NBA, you're low on the totem. Head coach is low on the totem pole. First of all, you have your stars, your LeBrons and your Giannis's and all those guys. And then the second level guys are still above you. Then the general manager is above you. And then agents have a say, so you can't just, Ricky, you know, I don't, you're not doing what we're asking you to do. So I'm going to sit your butt on the bench. And the general manager calls you up and says, you need to play Ricky because he's making $40 million a year. And you're
Yeah,
not going to sit him on the bench.
yeah.
So, and you have way less say of who your team is too, right? You have a salary cap. You have deals that are done. The athletic, the general manager signs players. You don't. Most head coaches in the NBA don't have any say of who their roster is. They have a little say, but they don't have final say. In college, you have final say. You don't sign anybody you don't want to sign, and you get rid of people you don't want. So, it's a totally different animal. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to be a shock, and you're gonna, run into a big problem quickly, like a lot of these coaches. I've talked to some high level college coaches, and they've talked to me about that. I've coached for 20 years. I coached in college. I coached in the NBA. I coached in the G League. I coached internationally. So they asked me, teams are talking to me. What do you do? I said, Coach, you have a 5-year deal. I would never leave. You run your own program. Yeah, but we got to get players that get grades and they're one and done. And yeah, those are problems. But if you want to go about agents running and general managers and egos, man, in the NBA, it's crazy. So, I,
Hey,
you know,
hey, hey,
and in the NBA, if you have 1.5 bad years, you get fired.
yeah, yeah,
If you have a good year in college, every third or fourth year, you get a 5-year extension. There you
yeah,
go. There's
yeah.
your answer.
Hey, Mo, Steve Nash, Hall of Fame point guard, comes in to coach the Brooklyn Nets, and Kyrie said, "We don't even need a coach."
And guess who's going to win? Even the best coaches in the NBA are making 5-8 million. Okay, great. Their players are making, one guy's making 50, another guy's making 40 million, another guy's making 30 million, three guys are making 10 million. Guess who's got the biggest voice on that team?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we
Money
got
talks.
OK's checking in. He's got some stuff about Kobe. Uh, these are what Kobe Bryant shot in his 7 final appearances. How can people have him as a top 3, especially when he was the best on only 2 title teams? I mean,
Everything is
relative, isn't it? I mean,
relative. Kobe was a great player, rest his soul, but you know, and when people talk about the goat conversation, which I don't think you can really say the goat, but if you're going to talk about that, in my opinion, titles should go out the window. It doesn't matter. It has a little bit of say, but you can be a great player on a terrible team and never win a title. Or you could be a really good player on a very good team and win a lot of titles. So if you're talking about individual playing people that are the GOAT, individuals, then you need to look at individual numbers and individual stats, because you know I could be a great player and play on a crappy team and I can't win a title. That's
yeah,
why players move around a lot. So if you look at individual numbers, Will Chamberlain's the GOAT. It's not even a question. I don't care who he played against. He played against Russell more than anybody who's one of the best centers ever to play. But Kobe was just a unique player, much like Michael Jordan, who could score outside and inside, high basketball IQ, and was an impactful player. But You know,
Yeah. Okay. Says, well, let's do relative then. Kobe played with Stat. Shaq still shot poorly. He couldn't stay away from bad shots, which knocks him out of the top 10. Okay, he's a top 20 player all time. That's still tremendous.
yeah, it's all relative. I mean,
I mean, he had a tremendous career. Okay, if you don't think he's a top 10 player, I get that.
I mean, look at like, let's go. If you want, let's go. Okay, in when I played in the '80s, right? You got Magic, you got Bird, you got Michael Jordan. That's three, right? You got Karl Malone, you got John Stockton, you got Dominique Wilkins. There's three more. You got Kevin McHale, you got Patrick Ewing. I mean, that's like eight guys right there, right? And that's only scratching the surface. So, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and so many people, especially nowadays, more people talk about the GOAT and Michael, and I know, and I'm totally with you. Wilt is the most dominant player this game has ever seen. But when guys played 20 years apart and such, how do you look at that? Just like our friend Wood has just talked about Bob Pettit
yeah.
being
Well, and
underrated.
I didn't say Moses Malone,
Right.
Hakeem Olajuwon. Yeah, but I mean, you can't. That's why you can't really compare. I mean, you can kind of if you want to, but I mean, it's just a very difficult conversation. But you know, if you talk about Wilt as a physical specimen, individual player, and the numbers he put up, I mean, he's top five scorer in the history of the game. He only played 13 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
LeBron has played 21 years. Kareem played 21 years. He played 13 years.
Yeah.
So, so he put those numbers up. But, I mean, it's all, it's
Yeah.
all, it's all, you could plug in, take take the top 10 you want and I'll take the top 10 I want and it'll be very, very equal teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And okay, you got him ranked 11 or 12. That's still tremendous, by the way.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Got who
He's
ranked?
got Kobe ranked 11 or
Yeah.
12 all time. That's still, people don't even talk about Dr. J anymore. They talked about
Yeah. I mean, you
all
know,
time greats.
yeah. I mean, Bill Russell, Bob Cousy, Elgin Baylor. Hello, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. I mean,
Uh, Hakeem was the best player I ever seen, including Jordan. He was a great one. Yeah.
yeah, but Hakeem wasn't better than Larry Bird, and he wasn't better than Magic Johnson. So yeah, I put him in that category for sure. I mean,
Yeah. These are all top 75 Hall of Fame players. Wilt once had 55 rebounds against Bill Russell. You're absolutely right, Steve. And so, if he had 55 against Russ, how many of those are offensive? 20?
yeah, I mean,
Against one of the best defenders the game has ever seen. That tells you everything you want to know about Russ. But and we really appreciate these questions. But we still want to kind of hit on this March Madness on this board a little bit, Mo. Your number one seeds, North Carolina in the West, Purdue's in the Midwest, UConn and Houston are the one seeds. UConn is in the East, Houston's in the South. And you talk about, now I want to go to Purdue because I watched Edie a lot this year, Mo, and got to see him play live against Michigan. And you talk about the simplicity, not that it's simple, the college game, the coaching, they run the same, Purdue runs the same set for Edie every time. He'll catch it at the high post. He's a good passer. If he sees a cutter, he'll drop it off. If he doesn't have anything, he'll throw it back to the guard, and he goes down and posts up, and they throw it to him, and he shoots a little hook. He shoots nothing outside of 3 feet.
except free throws.
Except free throws.
Yeah.
And Mo, I'm looking at that. I'm like, it's the same damn play every time.
Yeah, but I mean, plays don't do anything. Players do. I mean, if you execute a play, there's no way to stop it if you have good players and they execute it. And
Yeah.
they also run the old pick the picker, cross pick for him into the post, and they pin down for the guy that cross picked who pops out. If they get it in the post, great. If not, they swing it through that guy to the other side, and he comes to the other side. But yeah, I mean, they're getting to the point. But I mean, there's a guy that's 7'4". He's averaging 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists a game. He's got great hands, block shots, eats up space, rim protector, uh, right and left hook, makes his free throws over 70% from the free throw line. And he might not even get drafted again this year. He might get drafted in the second round. I mean, it's mind-boggling. But at the same point, you got to look at the NBA general managers that are looking at him going, guess what? If we get him, we're not posting him up all the time and throwing him the ball. That's not, we got other guys, you know, we're, so, can he be effective doing other stuff? Uh, Picking and rolling, picking and popping. If I was working with him, I'd have him working on 3-point range and picking and pop and, picking and rolling and half rolls and catching and kicking it out, which he could do, that kind of stuff, because that's what they're going to look, if you can do that. But, in the second round, a lot of NBA teams go for overseas guys or, specialty guys. But, I talked to Miami Heat scout the other day at the G League game, and I'm like, listen, the guy's 7'4". I think he's lost 25 pounds, so he's more mobile now. I think he moves pretty good now. So, if I could get someone in the second round that's experienced, solid, makes his free throws, and averages 24, 12, and 2, and he's somewhere between Yao Ming and Brooke Lopez. He's somewhere in there. Hello, let's take him. Let's see if he can fit in, but, NBA scouts are mesmerized with athleticism, wingspan, and youth. They want
Yeah.
7 of the top 10 players that are going to be picked this year in the NBA draft are all 18 or 19 years old.
And most of the coaches that pick them won't be around when they come to play.
And Zach Edey is old. He's all of 21.
And Mo, out of the number one seeds, who do you like the most? Houston, UConn, North Carolina, or Purdue?
UConn, they were injured early in the season, so they struggled, but they've come on, and their big kid, the 7'2" kid, is healthy now finally. But they have some stumbling blocks. Supposedly they have, one of the hardest brackets. I mean, you got Auburn, Illinois, even BYU, who beat up on my Kansas, San Diego State, who won it all last year in their division. So, North Carolina, I'm not sold on them. I think North Carolina State beat them in their tournament, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, if North Carolina State, it's a good team, but not at the caliber of these, so they can be beat. I like Houston. Their stumbling block is going to be probably Duke, Kentucky, or Marquette. Purdue, I like. They have kind of an easy bracket. If first round, who cares? Second round, you're gonna have to play
Nebraska,
TCU.
Texas A&M.
Then
No. Utah,
no,
TCU.
you
Yeah.
play Utah State or TCU. Then you're going to have to beat KU or Gonzaga probably. And then you're going to have to beat Tennessee or Oregon. I think Purdue can do that and get to the Final Four. But can they compete against an athletic team like Houston? I'm not sure. So
If Kansas is healthy, what are your thoughts about your Jayhawks?
well, I don't know. Even if they're healthy, they're not going to be healthy. I mean, Dickinson separated his shoulder less than 2 weeks ago. He separated it. So he'll probably play, but he's not going to be 100%, And then McCullough, who is a triple double guy, his knee has been bothering him all year. He'll play, but he's not going to be 100%. So, I just don't think they can match up. They can beat Samford, I think, and they can beat Gonzaga maybe, but then if they run against Purdue or Tennessee or Oregon, I just don't. And they're not very deep. They didn't recruit great. Their bench is really weak, and hasn't stepped up. So their road is you know if they can win if they can win 2 games, which they were ranked number 1 like 3 months ago, right? And
Right.
then they got injured, and so if they can win 2 games, I think it's a successful year for this group.
Yeah, it's a lot of I don't know much about Creighton's personnel, but I know that program has been pretty good in recent years, Paul. They are 3 seeds sitting out over there in the Midwest. They're going to open with Akron, and so they should handle it in, and then they'll catch the Texas, uh, UVA, Colorado State winner, whoever wins the play-in with
Uh,
that game.
no,
But
if Creighton wins, they're going to play Oregon the next round.
oh yeah. They'll catch the 6-11 matchup, Oregon and South Carolina. Yeah. So that
Actually, you want a tidbit? I think
yeah.
Akron beats Creighton.
Woo.
I've seen Creighton play this year, and I'm not that impressed. But and either way, I think whoever wins the Creighton Akron game, I think Oregon beats them. I've seen them play this year also.
We got some guys thinking we're gonna see some upsets. Steve says Marquette might get knocked out in game 1. Mike says Purdue has a history of choking. They
Yeah.
did get knocked off last year.
Well, sorry, Western Kentucky is not beating Marquette. You can bet the house on that. Marquette was ranked number 1 and I've watched them. I've seen them play 4 or 5 times on TV, and they're strong. They're physical. They beat up my Kansas Jayhawks when they were healthy. Marquette, I have Marquette going up against Kentucky in the Sweet 16. I think that is, and maybe beating them because they're more physical. I have Marquette going to the Elite Eight, but yeah, they're not going to lose in the first round. Sorry.
Shaka Smart, the coach at Marquette, his name is being mentioned here in the Detroit area, over in Ann Arbor. The Wolverines let go of Juwan Howard after this year. And I was thinking, Juwan had heart surgery in September, and he could have decided to take the year off. He wanted to come back and coach. If he took the year off, he'd probably still have a job. But he came back and was let go.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I know Juwan. He was in Dallas as a player when I was a coach, and then he went and coached at Miami. And he's a really good coach, but he's a really high-strung guy, and he's had problems with players and refs and
Right.
their coaches. And if you don't win, here's a clue: coaches are hired to be fired. That's the deal. And if you don't win and you have some other off stuff going on, you're going to get fired sooner than later. And that's the facts.
That's exactly what happened.
I mean, look at the Long Beach State coach. He was fired last week, and now he's in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And here, athletic directors, listen up, wake up. Athletic directors, if you fire your coach before the tournament, don't let them coach anymore. Just make them go home. You're just going to look like an idiot.
Yeah, that's what Bo Schembechler was the athletic director at Michigan the year they won the whole thing, and he fired, I forgot who the coach was. No, the coach left for Arizona. Bill Frieder left Michigan for Arizona. Steve Fisher took over, and they won the '89 championship. Frieder wanted to coach him through the tournament. No, you're not a Michigan man anymore. You take your butt on Arizona.
Here's another thing, athletic directors: stop firing your coaches right after a game in the tournament. That's so weak and that's so low rent. Like Jared Haas from Stanford, loses a game and then they fire him 15 minutes later. Wait till you get home. Why do you have to fire him right after the game? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mo. What did that serve?
No, and there was a young lady, I can't remember, I don't know her name or what team she coached for, but she had lost in the tournament. She was coaching the women's team. And then at the press conference, one of the reporters, like Ricky, asked her, "So what are your thoughts about rebuilding for next year?" And she said, "I won't be rebuilding this program. I just talked to the athletic director and they're going in a different direction. And
Yeah.
that will be my last question. Goodbye."
Yeah. My goodness, man. Oh my goodness. That's what a way to end it right there. Hey Mo, we're gonna be getting it. We're gonna continue to follow the NCAA tournament action. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna get into the ladies side too and talk a little bit about them. It's gonna be fun to see how Caitlin Clark, if she could take the Lady Hawkeyes on a run throughout the tournament. You know, South Carolina is going to be tough to beat
LSU.
with that program there. But I want to touch on the NBA a little bit, which is what we love to talk about here as they head towards their postseason. Hey Mo, you know, eh, New Orleans really embarrassed themselves, in my opinion, in the in-season tournament, letting the Lakers run all over them to win their championship. But they have put together a nice season. They're 41-26. They're currently in the fifth spot in the West, a game behind the Clippers for the sixth spot. And we've been calling it the Wild Wild West all year. Oklahoma City sitting up top with Denver a game behind, and Minnesota, Denver a half game, and Minnesota a full game. Talk to me about New Orleans, and do you trust them in the playoffs?
No. Next. Oh, they looked horrible. Zion looked bad, looked out of shape, looked heavy as hell. I saw him here in Vegas. And then for some reason, whatever, something clicked and he got himself together. And he's playing phenomenal now and they're relying on him. They got a lot of role players on that team and making a nice run. And the Clippers are kind of, I'm surprised that they're dropping instead of going up because they have talent to win it all this year. But 4 or 5, right? Clippers, New Orleans, 7-game series. I'd take Clippers all day, twice on Sunday.
Okay, we could very well see that playoff as we head down the home stretch. The Kings are beginning to play a little better. Uh, Two Mo. They're now 38-28 in the sixth spot. They were kind of the surprise team last year. And if the playoffs ended today, they would catch Minnesota, who's played great defense all year, something that the Kings do not do. You would take Minnesota in that matchup simply because of their defense?
No, I would only take Minnesota if Anthony Towns is healthy. If Anthony Towns isn't healthy, Sacramento all day. So it all depends on if he gets healthy. I mean, he had knee surgery and did some cartilage, which isn't major, but still it's something. So if Anthony Towns comes back, I like Minnesota, but if he doesn't, Minnesota probably loses in the first round.
Okay. Yeah. And as you say, that's before you get anything, you got to look at the rosters. Who is available? Who is available to play? The best ability is availability.
Yeah, it's cut and dry, right? I mean, if Giannis doesn't play for the Bucks, they don't do it. If Tatum doesn't play for the Celtics, they're not going to win it. That's the way it is. And with the Clippers, I think Kawhi Leonard hurt himself again this week, so that's a big red flag. And you know what? I haven't been sold on Denver, but I've seen them play. And they're starting 5 with Murray, uh, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, the Joker, Reggie Jackson, Caldwell Pope, and then Brown. Man, they just lost a tough one to Dallas on a left-handed floating hook by Kyrie, which was one of the most phenomenal game winner shots you'll ever see. But
Yeah.
Denver, is going to be difficult to beat. The Suns never have clicked in. You know what? If I look at those teams, you know who the most dangerous of all of them is in the playoffs if they're healthy? The Lakers. The
Yeah.
Lakers who are probably in a play-in with D'Angelo Russell, who I don't really love that much, but he can be good. LeBron, AD, Reeves, Hachimura, Christian Wood, Gabe Vincent if he comes back, Dinwiddie, Cameron. I mean, and LeBron you can't count out. I mean they got to the
Yeah.
finals last year in the play-in situation, so it's still the wild wild west out there.
It's the Wild Wild West because Oklahoma City. I mean,
Oh
and
yeah, we forgot about them. Yeah.
and and the thing is, the Lakers have beat them 3 straight times.
Yeah. And
Uh,
Oklahoma City has some really talent, but they're still young. And the good news is they have 970 first round picks.
uh,
They should
uh,
use they should have used some of those picks to get a veteran in there before the trade deadline this year, and it would have helped them a lot. Don't know exactly who that veteran is, but there's a guy out there that some team would have let go for, a couple first round picks that could really help them this year in the playoffs, but they're not doing that.
Mike is checking out. Great show, guys. Rock Chalk and Go Big Blue. Should be a crazy tournament. Thanks for checking in, Mike.
Gonna
And
be fun, man.
yeah, and we are headed that minute. Hours flown by. Don't forget to subscribe to the show at Chilltown on Facebook.
And share the word. Share with your friends. And we answer questions. We talk basketball, college, pro, old school, new school. I'm working on getting Jack Sigma on either next Monday or the Monday after that, and some more guests are going to be coming on. So share the word with your friends, and this is the place to come talk basketball.
Yeah. Hey Mo, we got just a couple of minutes left. Your Bucks are beginning to play well. 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 2 straight. Boston. They're 10 games behind Boston essentially, but I still think they're a team that could challenge them in a 7-game series.
Yeah, if they stay healthy. And I saw the game, I think last night or 2 nights ago, Middleton is back. And he had like 16 points in 15 minutes and looked pretty darn good. And they played without Giannis and won the game. So I think they're starting to learn how to play together. And guess what? Everyone was dogging Doc Rivers as a coach a little while ago because he had lost like the first 3 and was 1-5. Well, I think, like you said, they're 7-3 now, and they're actually playing a little defense, which they weren't before. And I feel a lot better about my Bucks seeing Middleton out there. Their key right now is whatever they do, don't care. They need to get healthy and they need to get the 2nd spot, stay out of the 3rd spot, which I think the Cavs are in right now, and the Knicks are on their heels, I think. But they got to stay out of this. They got to stay in the 2nd spot so they don't play the Celtics till the East Finals.
Yeah,
That's
they got a 1.5 game lead over Cleveland for the number 2 spot. And Mo, you talk about them playing better defense. That's funny because I thought their championship team was keyed by how good they were on the defensive end.
Guess who was not there anymore?
Yeah.
Holiday.
Yeah.
Holiday and the guy that the 6'8" guy that played defense. He's with the Clippers.
That shoots the corner jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're back.
I can't think of his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, so both those guys were defensive guys. So they're gone. But now they're starting to get the system down. They're capable of playing defense. They just, need to make that commitment. And Doc Rivers, he's had some tough losses in Game 7, some series, but he's a really good coach.
Looking back on that move, you think that was the right thing to do, moving on from Adrian Griffin, even though they were 33-13?
Oh, yeah, I saw them play here. I was sitting 10 feet from the bench, and Adrian Griffin's a friend of mine, and I've known him for a long time, but they weren't listening to him. They weren't respecting him. Giannis was running all over him, and that's the guy that wanted him. And guys weren't listening to him, and that's the business. And they're not going to do that with Doc Rivers. And Adrian's been a great coach for a long time, but this is his first head coaching position, which is totally different. And he was thrown in a situation with a lot of expectations, but a lot of work to do. And he'll get another job. I would think, at 33 and 15 or whatever it was.
But hey, Mo, we have hit our deadline. We got to get out of here.
Oh,
Check us out next week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to our friends at Sports Fluent. Check us out at Chilltown Sports. For Paul Mokeski, I'm Rickey Hampton. Peace, everybody. Have a great week.